Today we're working on day 4 of the Junk Journal July Challenge, and the prompt is something vintage. Now yesterday, for day 3, if you haven't seen that video, I had made this page that has this envelope here. So I was thinking for day 4, I would make a card to go inside that envelope. Probably put it in there. Ooh, yes, that fits nicely. I forgot to actually check before I chose what card. And I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping I would have some sort of vintage playing card or something along those lines. From like a thrift store or something like that. Though actually, I do have some postcards. I'll be right back. I might change what I'm doing completely, so this might change, but I think I'm probably going to use this card. Okay, so yes, I was right. I do have some postcards, and I found this one. So instead of this card, because originally I didn't think I had anything vintage that I could use. This one, let me check real quick if it fits in the envelope. Alrighty, so it doesn't quite fit either way, the envelope. So I'm wondering, if I do this, change the fold, that's not going to look right. Okay. Do I want to trim this down? Is this really... I guess that is kind of bigger than what I was originally using. Let me actually, because I have a bunch of vintage postcards. So let me see, because I'm thinking their postcards are all probably about the same size, aren't they? Alright, yeah, so these aren't going to work really. In that case, oh, I do have a backup. So if you go by the definition of vintage needing to be 20 years or older, then this isn't really vintage technically, but it's from my childhood. I believe this was what I used as Valentine's cards when I was in like 1st or 2nd grade or something like that. And this would it definitely fits in that envelope. In fact, I might do a little series today, because I have 3 of these, and there's totally room in that envelope for more than just one. Oh, actually, I have more than 3. I have... it looks to be 5 of them. Cool. Okay, so complete change of plans. I'm actually going to do 5 little cards today that'll go into that envelope on the page, from the page that I made a day ago. So on the front, we've got these little cute creatures and the little cute sayings. Aliens and robots is what I mean by creatures, I guess. And then on the back, there's word searches, and I guess I didn't put my name there, but yeah. And so these are valentines from when I was in elementary school. So at most, I mean, if it was kindergarten, it would have been 20 years ago. Just barely. But anyway. So I will get started on these. I don't know if I'm going to decorate either just this side or if I'm going to do both sides. This, there's not, like, I could use it as a journaling card, but not all of them have that from area blank. And this word search is taking up a lot of space there. So I don't think making little journaling cards would work. So I think I'll end up creating on both sides. So, now do I want to keep them, work on them in like a series like this, all at the same time, just kind of switching between them, or do I want to work on them individually? I think individually. And then I can just match however I feel like. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do here, so I want to split this into some sections. So I want this little guy in his own little section. We'll do that. And then, so now I've got it split into 6 sections. And, you know, I don't really like that I used a Sharpie to do that now that I think about it, just because that's a bit bold. But, you know, in mixed media, I can always cover it up somehow. So, what do I want to do? I think here I'll start to fix the harshness by at least making it throughout the piece a bit more. That way it at least doesn't stick out so much like a sore thumb. Here, I think I'll do the same thing. Now, I don't know if this is technically vintage. It's just an old map piece that I had bought from someone off of Etsy. I just thought maybe a few pieces of it here and there might be kind of cool. Maybe like that. Maybe another piece. Is that too much? I like it better with that or like it better with. So I will grab my glue. I've always really loved aliens a lot, as I guess is kind of evidenced by the fact that I had alien-themed valentines back in elementary school. But back when I came out as non-binary, I mean, my name on its own tends to be pretty feminine, because it's Sarah. To most people, they kind of think of that as feminine. To me, it's honestly not really. To me, names don't really have a gender, but for some reason I still felt a little uncomfortable with my name, but I've never, like, figured out, like, a good different name to go by. And I also, like, at the same time, I also really, I genuinely do like the name Sarah a lot, and I don't know, I grew up being called that, and it feels fitting. But anyway, my point is that I, at one point, turned it into an acronym. That is just some aliens running around. Okay, so next, I want to let this glue dry first, but I'm thinking I'm going to use this, which, again, I don't know, this is probably not technically vintage, but I got it from a thrift store, and I use it as a painting tool. So I'm thinking that I'm going to have some gesso and just kind of, like, scrape it across here, maybe a little lower than that, but I'll do that once this dries. So for now, I will move on to this next one. I need to clean off my desk. So for this one, I'm gonna stamp with this, which this is from the pad from an old pair of headphones that I used to have. They started breaking and the pad started falling off and stuff, but I like this kind of effect here, and I also like this shape, so I saved it to use as a stamp, and I have used it as a stamp a couple of times at least, but I'm gonna use some gold paint. Just squirt some on my underpaper. Trying to decide if I want to use the smooth side or the textured side. I think right now the smooth side might give me a little bit better application, because I don't think the texture is going to show up very well. So I'm just kind of dipping it in the paint that I had squirted out. So now it's, use a little bit more paint right there, but now it's covered in that. It's probably going to be super light, which is kind of what I want, because I don't want it to be a completely opaque covering. This paint is pretty thin. Okay. So I think I want a little bit more here. Okay. Okay, that didn't really work, but we'll just roll with it. So, yeah, now there's that. Now I want to let that dry. I'm thinking that I'll add some kind of loose arches, like up here. Once that dries. And this one, let's see. Flip things around the desk again. For this one, I am going to use some of this colored texture paste. I don't remember who made this, and it doesn't say on it, but it's just a metallic blue. The color's Iceberry, and I really, really love these texture pastes. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with texture paste in general, just because... Like, I don't know, like I've used modeling paste in the past, but I don't like how it dries. It always, for me, seems to dry with really sharp edges and points, and I don't like it. And sure, I know you can probably, like, sand it down or something, but personally, I don't really want to deal with that. So... call me lazy, I guess. But these texture pastes are already colored, and they're quite highly pigmented too, so way better than if I were to take like paint or pigment powder or something like that and combine it with your typical white modeling paste. And I don't know, it's also metallic, which I like metallics quite a bit. I don't always work in metallics as much as I feel like I would, but I do really, really like metallics. I don't know why I don't work with them much. I feel like metallics is one of those things I buy more often than I actually use. Which is not good. And I got a little bit more over the alien guy here than I wanted to. That's okay. Just kind of tried to smooth that out so it'll be easier to fix later on. If you're wondering about this stencil, this is actually just a stencil I made. I just drew some like wonky circle shapes on some watercolor paper and then cut that out with an X-Acto knife. As I've said before, I'm trying to get into making more of my art supplies instead of buying all of my stuff, which I've had mixed success. Like, I actually have bought a new stencil recently, but it was gears, which I know is something that I wouldn't really have an easy time making myself. So I think if it's a design that I don't feel like I could make on my own, then I go ahead and buy it. Just so I don't have to like make it and then get disappointed. Now I am using some red paint. Oh, I just realized I didn't close my texture paste. I do not want that to dry out. I've used a lot. I think this blue one is the one I've used the most of. But I don't even know if I'd be able to find those texture pastes again, which is a shame because I really, really like them. Because I had got them from like a really, really large Joanne Fabric store in Polaris, which is near Columbus. And obviously Joanne Fabrics is gone now, so I don't know if it was something that was only carried by Joanne Fabrics. I kind of doubt it, because Joanne Fabrics brands, honestly, for the most part, were kind of crappy. So I would think it's probably carried by Michaels, or maybe something that was made by Ranger, or something like that. So now I'm just cleaning off my sponge a bit. Oops. I'm knocking over everything. And then I think for this one, I'm pretty much finished. I want to add something more. Oh, you know what I'll do? Once this dries, I think I will punch a hole at the top, and I'm pretty sure I do have some vintage threads. So I'll use that, and it'll be kind of like a little tag, which I might end up doing that with all of these. And then I am thinking maybe on the backs, I think I will use these as journaling cards. Maybe put like a thin coat of gesso, or like paper clips and paper on the back or something like that. Maybe not paper clip, but like something. So I think that might be the easiest thing to do, because I don't quite know where I'm going with these. But yeah, definitely gonna do those threads on that one. And then this one. With bubble wrap. Do I want to use red or yellow? Maybe gold. Do I want to use the gold again? I think I do want to use the gold again. So I'm going to put out some more of that gold paint, which it sounds like that's almost emptied. Which is great, because I've probably have mentioned this before, but I am trying really hard to get through my store-bought acrylic paints. So I want to try making my own acrylic paints. So I've got gold paint that I just kind of spread with my fingers on there. Then I am stamping card with that. I think I went up a little further than I want to. Oh, actually that looks pretty good. I think I like that. I'm not sure I like how globby that is in spots, so let me see if I can kind of lift some of that away using the bubble wrap. That kind of worked. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Then want to let that dry, and then I think I'll do some doodling. Now, it might be a bit before I get back to these, so I might completely change all of my ideas for what to do next. Because these videos, most of these videos, I've actually filmed over multiple days. Now I'm going to use some of those threads. I'm going to sew some lines through this. So for this one, to make it a journal card, I'll probably end up with just gluing some printer paper or something like that on the back of it. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. I'm going to try to find some vintage thread in a color that I might like with this. There's this red. Or maybe there's, I think this red might be fun. I was kind of hoping to find a yellow, but I really, really like that red with that. So we'll do that. So, over my pin cushion. And I will probably need to use my threader. And there they are, my thread scissors. So this is some old thread that I got. It came on this wooden spool. I got this from the antique mall near us. I got like this whole huge jar and a few bags full of thread. So I'm going to, real quick, get about an arm's length of that, and then cut it. And I always make, when I'm sewing through paper with this thin of a thread, I usually try to do like whatever the word for 6 times, because like I do a double knot 3 times, I at least try to, because in my experience that'll usually be thick enough. Because the problem with sewing through paper with such thin, and I'm really bad at double knotting, I just tied 2 separate knots, but anyway, so I found when sewing with really thin thread through paper, it's really easy for it to slip through. Unless I knot it a bunch. Sometimes I'll tape or glue it instead, but I prefer at least trying to have it work right from the get-go. So right now there's one knot that's triple knotted and one knot that's double knotted, and that's not intentional. Now those 2 are tied together, but I'm counting that as quadruple knotted, so I'm going to try to make 2 more knots on top of that, and hopefully I'm not going to make more separate knots. That's 5. And 6. So now I've got that really big knot there. And I am by no means an expert on this. I have a feeling I'm not doing it quote unquote right, but that's okay. It works for me, and that's all I really care about too much. I'm just saying, I'm not necessarily the person to go to for sewing advice. Because unfortunately, it's not like I'm one of those people who is taught by their grandmother or something like that. I had to pretty much learn myself. So I'm not really caring too much if these are evenly spaced or anything. In fact, I now have accidentally knotted the thread. That's okay, worst case scenario. We'll see if it'll still go through the hole. I don't know if that knot's too big or not. Okay, so if I pull it through hard enough, it will. see, already this is pretty crooked, but I don't know, I like it. I'll do more here. I want to make these lines kind of around the robot, so I'm going to be avoiding the hearts he's holding and the robot himself. Oops. Oh, I didn't actually. Okay. It's a little hard for me to see right now. So now to tie it off, I'm just kind of slipping my needle under some previous stitches and double knotting there. So now I'll cut that. And I think I'm gonna cut that knot off just so I don't have to deal with it anymore. I might use that scrap for something later though. And I got this in paint. That's okay. So now I'm doing the same thing I did earlier, so I'm going to pause the video real quick because I'm tying the knot off screen. So I will be... Right, so here we are, double knotted 3 times again. And I just continue sewing, which this will, let's be below the heart, which not sure where I'll come up. That's fine. Go. Now I do the same thing again where I'm passing under there, that stitch, I pull that just to make sure it's taut. Oops, I got that thing. So now using my threader. Oh goodness, if I can actually get the threader even through the thing. There we go. I don't have depth perception, so this can be really difficult for me sometimes. I don't even know if you can see what's happening right now. I think I might be out of the camera. Oh, and my foot fell asleep. Okay. There we are. Now, hopefully I can finish tying this off without it slipping out of the needle again. I think if in the future, if I want to do sewing on a piece, I might just do it off camera. This is hard. Okay, then alright, so once again, I tied a starting knot, and I want to come up in this general area underneath the hurt antenna. Oh no! Not that high up. There we go. There we go. I might fix that hole later with some tape or something, or it might get covered up. And then tie it, pull this thread through, make sure it's taut. Okay, it's not, it's kind of loose, but that's okay. Pretty sure I'm gonna glue some paper over this anyway, so that's fine. Gonna trim that. And let's see. Do you want to do more? How much thread do I have left? I have enough thread to do a little more sewing. I mean, I could also just get more thread from that spool, because there's certainly a lot on there. Oops. But I think I want to do one more line maybe here. Maybe another there. But I don't know. We'll see what I think after I do that. Do I want one there? I don't think so, because I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to interrupt that part of the line. I mean, I interrupted it over here, but I don't really want to do that, I don't think. But here, I definitely want another stitched line. Alright, so I did the same thing again with the knotting, and I'm trying to, okay, that's about the area I want it to be in. Okay, my thread is a bit short now. That's okay, I think I have enough to at least do this. Oh yeah, I totally do, okay. I think I'll stop it there. No. Yeah, I think that's enough. This spot feels kind of empty to me, but I don't think I want to sew there. So I'll do the same thing where I'm tying it off at the back. And this one I might not trim. So I kind of like the loose thread look. Is that double knotted? It doesn't look double knotted, so I'm gonna do it again. There. Now, yeah, I think I want to leave that tail there. I don't know why I like seeing threads hanging, I just kind of do. Alright, so I'm going to make some white dots with acrylic paint. Oh, I'm just using Craft Smart. And this little stylus or embossing tool. I'm not quite sure technically what this is called. I think it's just called a stylus. But I use it a lot for making dots. Oh, I think I'll do it along this whole thing. Okay. Could have used the smaller one to make it look kind of like it's trailing, but I like this better, I think. And then I think I want to add some red splatters. Maybe with a toothbrush. Maybe not with a toothbrush, because I can't seem to find where I put my old toothbrush. Oh, there it is. It's just under a bunch of stuff on my table. Haha. Alright, so I'm just, oh, sorry. I'm just getting some paint on my toothbrush. Old toothbrush, that is. And I just want to kind of splatter it in this area here. And the reason why I'm using a toothbrush is because I wanted a very fine splatter, which is a lot easier to get with a toothbrush than a regular toothbrush. I think I also want some over here. That's pretty good. And I think for this one, I really like that, how it is. Honestly, I think that's adorable. I love it. Okay, so this one I'm going to call done. The other four, I have additional things to do to them once they're dried. So this is dry now. So I'm putting out some gesso, and I'm taking this thingy here that, like I said, I'm like 90% sure that's something to do with baking soap, but I genuinely do not know. So now I'm just gonna scrape the gesso across, and it makes these nice lines, though it's not really working as well this time. Maybe I need to, there we go. next thing I want to do is I think adding some doodles in this area will help it. So I'm going to let that dry again. Move on to the next one. So this one, I'm going to take a white Posca pen in my left hand, and I'm going to make some arches. I'm using my non-dominant hand for this just because I want it to be a little bit looser and imperfect. Good. What else do I want on there? I don't know. So I have some old postage stamps that I got from a secondhand art supply store, and I'm gonna glue them along the bottom here. And when I'm done, I'll cut off the excess. When I've got them all glued down. Yeah, I can. Okay. So if I'm gonna go all the way to the edge with on one side, I want to on the other as well. And there we go. Those three fit pretty perfectly. So now I'm gonna take some scissors. I don't mind getting covered with glue. These are just cheap little kid scissors that I've had since probably middle school. Oh. I gotta be careful because I didn't wait for this to dry. And so everything's moving a little bit. That's okay. I'll fix it. There we go. I should have waited for it to dry before I cut it. So now that edge is a little jaggedy, but it's okay. And I'm wanting to get rid of these scraps. And I think, actually, you know what? I'm gonna add like a purple oval on that alien's stomach there. Maybe a gray one on the green alien. So I'll do something like this. do some white splatters a little bit. So I'm just going to use gesso for this just because it's already on my underpaper. And this one, I like where it is, so I'm going to call that done. So this one, I'm going to punch a hole in the top center-ish. And then I'm going to go through my thread scraps and see if I can find anything that'll look good on there. Again, I don't know if any of this is technically vintage, but I got it secondhand, so I know it's at least older. That might be interesting, but I will look for something else. Nope. What about this? I like that. Okay. So I don't know if I'll include any other threads there. But we'll see what it looks like after I add just this one first. I'm just pulling it through. And I'm gonna tie it. Okay. Then let's see how long I want this to be. I think I want it up to there. Okay. This one, I actually really like how that is turned out. So I am going to call that done. This one, in some of the emptier spaces, I want to add like a hash mark pattern. I'm going to use thinner tip for this. Just adding a little bit of visual texture. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now, I'm gonna do a little pattern across like that. Which, I don't know, might be a mistake now that I'm looking at it. actually, no, that's not too bad. So now I am going to add some dots around that. Starting to think maybe I should have sanded these cards down a little bit before I started creating on them, because that would have made them a little bit less glossy, but also a bit easier for things to kind of like grip on. Let's see. But it is too late now, so that's alright though. Now I'm gonna draw some little sprouty things here coming out from the bottom. I think I might add some of this. This is a piece of an old doily that was made by my grandmother, I think. But the reason why it's all ripped up is because my mom had a Rottweiler at one point and he chewed it all up, so I have no qualms against continuing to cut it up and use it in art stuff. And yeah, I like it right there, so I am going to do that. So I'm just using tacky glue for this. I know I'm doing it out of frame, but it's easier. Okay, and there. Oh, maybe. There. I like that. Okay, now this one's starting to come together, I think. Let's see. Do I want to add anything more? I think some more black doodles of some kind could be useful, like in this area here. Let's do some lines. Just kind of like that. Okay, I like that now, so I'm going to call that one done. So now we just have one left that we're working on, which is this one, but that still feels a little wet, so I still need to let that dry. Then I'll doodle there, and then once that card is finished, I'll probably gesso the backs of these and use them as journal cards, and then put them in the envelope that's on day 3's page, because this is day 4, right? I think this is day 4. I forget what I said at the beginning of this video. Yeah, because day 3 was botanical, so day 4 is something vintage. So yeah, day 4. It's been 2 days since I started recording this. But anyway, so once this is dry, completely, I will doodle on there, and yeah. Right, I'm back, and I'm going, and this gesso bit here is dry now. So I am going to do a little bit of doodling over top of that. Not doing much today, just this shape here. I feel like it could use some dots there. Maybe some lines. Okay. Oh, and some little bumps here. Okay, there we go. I like that. Do I want to do anything else? I'm wondering if I want to do some stitching along there. I've decided I do, and I think I'm going to go with this pale purple. This is another one that I got from the antique mall. It is a plastic spool though, so I'm sure it's probably not technically vintage. But that's alright. Okay. Just use these scissors. Alright. So now I'll start sewing, trying to get, that's a pretty good starting spot, so we'll go there. Oops. Oops. Oh my goodness. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna be honest, these cards is probably my least favorite thing I've done for this challenge so far. I don't know why, but I've been finding them, oh my goodness, mostly frustrating. It's not exactly fun to work on, but that's okay. But I don't know. I mean, I've had quite a bit of creative inspiration lately, but with these, I just feel kind of uninspired. But that happens sometimes. I do think they look cute, so there's that. Okay, well this one I'm actually starting to like now. Whoops. Okay. And these are not my thread scissors, but I have them sitting on my table. So I'll just use those. Snip that. I think I'm going to call that done. I think this one's my favorite out of the ones I made. So let me kind of line up all 5 of the cards that I put together. So there's this one, that one, so here's all the cards. Oh, let me try to zoom out and see all of them. There we go. So there are all the cards that I've made for the something vintage prompt, and I got that into some gesso, I think, but it's okay. Alrighty. So now all I have left to do is just to put these in the envelope from day 4's page. So I will do that, and then I'll come back and show what that looks like. So now here's the journal page from day 4, and since the envelope was made using vellum, you can kind of see the cards through a little bit, which I actually kind of like. It looks interesting. And I can pull them out here. And then eventually I'm going to cover these backs with some gesso, and so I can use them as just regular journaling cards. And I will write on them different things. I'll probably write on one each day or something, maybe. But yeah, so there's that, and I kind of like it. It's a bit interactive. And they did come out kind of cute, but probably because they started out cute. But yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. And if you'd like to follow along with me for the rest of the July Junk Journal Challenge, then please subscribe so then you can get notified of when I put out my next video. Bye.